OK, let's get all the thoughts on what is a momentous political week. Tim Bale is Professor of Politics at Queen Mary University of London and joins us now. Good morning to you, Tim.
Hello.
My word, what a week in politics. Where do you think we stand this morning? Clearly more questions than answers to a large degree. Pretty difficult, though, for the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I mean, I think genuinely he is in quite a lot of trouble this time. I mean, he is a bit of a Teflon Houdini character, if you like, but I think the problems are really piling up for him now, not just because of the lies he's supposed to have told, whether that's on Partygate or whether that's on Wallpapergate, but also I think on the COVID restrictions, which really do seem to be bothering a lot of libertarian conservative MPs who feel, that the economy is going to suffer as a result of the restrictions, not just on hospitality, but on people more generally, particularly, for example, the work from home thing, which is going to affect businesses which cater for commuters, for example.
Let's kind of take some of the issues, if we can, in their individual scale. First of all, Lord Geit's suggestions this morning that he may well resign, having felt that he could have been misled by the Prime Minister in all of this. That would be pretty serious. I mean, he's already lost, essentially, one of his kind of independent standards advisors. I mean, to lose two in the space of a year would be pretty significant.
Yes, it would. I mean, Alex Allen already resigned because the Prime Minister decided not to act on his recommendations. I think Lord Geit's resignation, if that were to happen, would be deeply damaging because it would, in effect, I think, suggest to people that he had misled someone who was, after all, the Queen's private secretary, someone who has an impeachable reputation for integrity and honesty. And it really wouldn't be a good look for the Prime Minister were that to happen. But you can see Lord Geit's point of view. It clearly seems as if he wasn't given all the information when he conducted his investigation and has been made to look like a fool, to be honest.
Let's then move on to Partygate. Suggestion this morning that Jack Doyle, the Director of Communications, potentially was at that party last year. Now, and there's lots of people getting in touch saying, well, this all happened last year, we're not interested. But actually, this is interesting because, of course, Jack Doyle's entire job is to protect the reputation of the Prime Minister. And he may well have been one of the people that might have advised the Prime Minister on what may or may not have happened at that party last year, which might have led to the public statements we heard from the Prime Minister in the run-up to this Wednesday.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, although the party was held last year, the fact that Jack Doyle is supposed to have actually overseen the media operation this week, which has proved to be such a disaster, is significant. And of course, it is very significant if the line that was taken at the beginning of the week was that this party did not actually happen, when the person who was overseeing that line was actually at that party. That is really quite problematic, I think, again, for the Prime Minister. But of course, what the Prime Minister may say is that, this is just another person who, to some extent, misled him about what had been going on. And, that has been Boris Johnson's strategy, really, over the last few days, to say somehow, it was other people misleading him rather than him actually telling any kind of untruths or misleading Parliament. So, we may see another person, as it were, thrown under the bus to save the Prime Minister, just as some people allege Allegra Stratton was.
Looking at the polls, and we were listening to John Curtis yesterday, who's saying that there is now a significant trend that this is actually damaging the government of the Conservative Party, the Prime Minister personally, in terms of his ratings. This is the first sign, isn't it, actually, midterm, and many people expected us to be here before, that pretty unsaleable lead that the Conservative Party have had really since he got elected is just not there anymore.
Yes, I mean, the Conservatives did run into trouble over COVID early on, but recovered from that. Labour has been in a lead before, but it does seem now that Labour are establishing a lead. Whether that will turn into the kind of double-digit lead that in some ways we would expect in midterm, we will have to see. It has to be said, of course, that Labour went into double-digit leads in midterm during the David Cameron years, and yet were able to lose elections despite that. So I'm not sure that's necessarily terminal, but I certainly think Conservative MPs will be looking at that headline lead and, beginning to wonder if Boris Johnson is not the election winner they assume him to be, then what precisely is the point of Boris Johnson?
And just very finally, Tim, there's lots of people, lots of our viewers who still quite like Boris Johnson. They feel that we're giving him a hard time. He does still remain relatively popular with the public. As you say, he's a great campaigner. There's no doubt about this. We heard today that people may well be circling possible leadership candidates and all that sort of stuff. But we're not really at a stage we're going to see Boris Johnson. He only won an 80-seat majority 2 years ago. We're not really at a stage where we're likely to see him go, are we?
Well, I mean, I've said to several other people that I wouldn't bet on it, but I think for the first time I wouldn't necessarily bet against it. I think, there are problems piling up for him. MPs are quite unhappy, and if the opinion polls do head south, and they head south for any length of time, particularly in the new year, I think maybe he is in trouble. Parties have been known, and particularly the Conservative Party has been known to be quite ruthless in that respect. And if they don't feel he's an asset and has become a liability, then I don't doubt that they will dump him. OK, Tim Bale, as always, really appreciate your thoughts and your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed, Tim Bale there.